by Embiid. A three is good. Jason Tatum holds up 5 with the right and a fist with the left. He's got 51 points.
Mark Chester with a call last night on ESPN Radio. Jason Tatum erupting for 51 points, the most in a Game 7 NBA history. It helped lead the Boston Celtics to a 112-88 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. They move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they'll host the Miami Heat. That game starting this week on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after a video showing the star guard holding a gun began circulating on social media on Saturday night. The Grizzlies announced the suspension, which is pending an NBA review, in a statement on Sunday, 2 months after the NBA suspended Morant over a similar incident. The team did not provide any further comment. And Jonathan Marchessault scored 3 goals. It was his second career postseason hat trick. That enabled the Vegas Golden Knights to beat the Edmonton Oilers 5-2 in Game 6 of their series. They advanced to the Western Conference Finals. They will take on the winner tonight's Game 7 between the Kraken and the Dallas Stars. You can catch that game on ESPN beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. SportsCenter is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Breaking news: the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after another Instagram Live video surfaced, apparently showing him with a handgun.
It was easy to defend Ja Morant the first time. You're in a bad spot when you lose the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's lost that.
Always appreciate you joining us on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Got Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, Freddie coming in for Max Kellerman. Presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio, as well as the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPNU, and ESPN2. And Ja Morant once again in the news for all the wrong reasons, even though he's still a star player for the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA. Let's bring in Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, former NFL executive, a great follow on Twitter, Real Tannenbaum, and kind of crossing platforms here, Mike. If you're the GM of the Memphis Grizzlies, I know you've been with a lot of NFL teams. How would you handle this kind of situation involving them once again and Ja Morant?
On the court and win championships, hopefully multiple championships, but you as a person help grow and develop. And obviously you've made some bad decisions. And candidly, what's the biggest concern, it's more than one. You know, he had the bump in the road a couple of weeks ago. In the pre-draft process of the NFL about Jalen Carter's behavior, either directly or indirectly. You know, 2 people passed away. And when Ja Morant is waving a gun the way he has, at least we know of twice, we're not talking about victimless situations. Like, you're talking about worst case scenario where people can die. And to your point, this is not something that you can just, hey, let's put out a PR program and really take a deep dive with him, get him the help that he needs so he could come through this on the other end and have the great career he deserves.
You know, Mike, not to place blame on any one organization or executives or anything like that, but how much do I look at the organization in this situation? And the reason I'm asking this because I'm gonna ask you something after this to follow up.
Key, I think it's totally fair because, you know, look, he is a superstar. He is a transcendent player.
exercise when it comes to stuff like this. If Doc Rivers were fired as Philly's head coach, if you're New York, if you're the Knicks, would you just scoop him up real quick? Can you imagine what Doc could do with the New York Knicks? Would you scoop him up, Freddie?
I would take Doc Rivers over Tom Thibodeau. I would take Monty Williams over Tom Thibodeau, to be honest with you. My answer is completely yes.
Yes. Okay, so you people were like, oh, just fire him, get him out of here. I'm like, replace him with who? Like, I do wonder sometimes.
You got to have somebody
with, right?
Right. There's no doubt.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but people are like, oh, just fire him. I'm like, what? Give me plausible candidates with where this team is right now. You're saying maybe Nick Nurse, because offensively, I think schematically, he'll probably come up with some different things that could be different. I don't know if you get the same buy-in defensively. Doc is still one heck of a coach. Look, this game goes game 7. As much as I can sit up there and say, how come they're not running anything for Joel Embiid on the block? I do think that's the next step to Joel Embiid's game. He has to want the ball on the block and has to demand that. And that's questions looming around Doc too. But I still think if you could find ways, if James Harden wants to be a part of something bigger than himself, which playing with Joel Embiid, I love that complementary piece. I love that two-man game.
Yeah.
With the right pieces around, I think you run it back. You run it back.
You should run it back. This team won 54 games in the regular season. We're not talking about a team that, let's say, won 65 games and regressed. We're not talking about the Phoenix Suns here when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's why they moved on from Monty Williams. They bring in a new ownership group. They want their own guys. If you're Philadelphia, you have to look at yourselves in the mirror, especially when it comes to Joel Embiid and James Harden, and say, okay, what could we have done that could have made things a little bit better after having a 3-2 lead in the series against the Boston Celtics, where they made the Celtics let the goofy Celtics that we've seen at times since January. To me, that's more of a question. Not so much, Key and Jay, if they should move on from Doc Rivers. I don't think that should be a question, Philadelphia. If you're Joel Embiid and James Harden, what can you do for that next step as teammates and making everybody else around you better if they decide to keep the same pieces and run it back in Philadelphia?
Well, I'll tell you something. I mean, I wish you can fast forward time, because Tobias Harris has 1 year left on his deal for $39 million guaranteed.
What?
I can't be paying that price somebody at 2 points in Game 7, man. I love Tobias, and it's one of the best deals of all time, and I see it. But like that's been a tough grade for Philly as you're looking at, hey, are we doing the most to surround? And Tobias has had some games here and there defensively. I know what he brings leadership wise. Like, that contract is just a black eye, man. And it stands out all the time when you're looking at who are the additive pieces to put around these players to help these two guys in particular win a chip. It hurts.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio as well as ESPNU. Speaking of Joel Embiid, people on social media, they were up in arms when it came to some of his post-game comments. For example, why he and James Harden can't make it work by themselves in Philadelphia to win a championship.
All of us, we got to, come back and find ways to just keep improving and, help the team. You can't win alone. I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
Jay, many people believe that sounded like an excuse. What did you hear?
So, hearing it earlier this morning, I was like, okay, well, he took accountability for himself, but it does feel like the back part almost negates the first part. Does it, Freddie, a little bit? Mm-hmm. It's like, to go, like, I wish he would have left the comment at, look, I need to be better. We need to be better. And then that's the end of it. But then when it drags along and it gets to a certain point where it's like, well, I can't win it by myself. Yes, we understand that, Joel.
Yeah, we get it.
Well, me and James can't win it by ourselves. Like, all right, now where are you going with this comment? Like, because if you had just stopped in the middle, I would be like, that's perfect. Like, your accountability, you're taking it, you want to move forward. I understood. But just that it leaves room for interpretation with that latter part. That I can see when it starts being quoted, just that being the tweet, and people don't hear the whole context. But even if you hear the whole context, the latter part takes away from the first part. It's I wish he didn't step in it like that.
Well, see, again, Jay, this is at the end of a game.
Yeah, I understand.
And the way that I look at it is there's so much pressure for him and James to deliver a championship. And he's just saying to me that him and James can't do it by themselves. And so when you hear every day that you have to do this, you have to do it, James has to do it, James has to do it, that's a lot to endure. And so I can see where, you know, maybe there's a different choice of words that he could have navigated around, maybe. But I don't think that he's calling out his teammates. I don't think he's calling out the head coach. I just think he's saying that me and James can't do it by ourselves. We need everybody.
But why would you even say that though,
it.
Key? But why would you even need to say that?
Most likely, somebody said something.
Because
somebody said something in reference to him and James either not being able to do it or they have to do it. Something like that. He done read or seen on social media. Something along those lines, and it's stuck in his brain.
Yeah, this is where you wish sometimes, Key, and I know everybody doesn't come from the school of how to pivot in media, but you would think, like, you know how it is, Key. You can ask me whatever question you want, Key. I don't need to. I can answer any of your questions whatever way I want it.
Right.
I can steer it whatever way.
Right.
Like, so don't you think you and James Harden need to do more? It's like, look, this is a team sport. We all need to be better, leading with me. This is my team. Like, I will pivot on any question and just steer it towards what we need to do. And I think sometimes this is where athletes get in trouble, because it's like, you know how it is, Key. They keep drilling you with question after question after question. You might answer the same question 15 times. And then at one time, you answer it with a little bit of emotion. There you go. They got you. So I don't know how this situation played out. I hate when you leave things up for interpretation for people to run at you this way. When you feel like that's not what Joe really meant, you know?
No doubt about that.
Jay, just do better, man. Just do better,
Just
Jay.
Be better.
Just do better, man.
Do your job,
there
son.
You go.
That's what you're saying. Do your job, son.
Just do your job, Jay, man.
Keyshawn J. on the Max, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio as well as ESPNU. And we stay in the NBA. What has been the reaction in Memphis to another incident involving Ja Morant and gunplay? That's next.
Breaking news where the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after another Instagram live video surfaced, apparently showing him with a handgun.
It was easy to defend Ja Morant the first time. You're in a bad spot when you lose the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's lost that.
More Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max next. The all-new Chevy Colorado is made for more. Bring more.
Nobody said it would be.
Do more.
They find that greener grass, but you're still in.
See more.
Got my baby sitting by me, shining like a diamond.
And be more.
Only silver linings in the clouds. On my Chevy, but it's ready.
The all-new Chevy Colorado, made for more.
Feels like gold.
If you choose curbside when you order ahead in the McDonald's app, you won't have to wait in line when you get here. Genius.
Here you go. Thank you.
Order ahead in the app to save time.
Are you tired of clean clothes that just don't smell clean? Downy Unstoppable's in-wash scent boosters keep your laundry smelling fresh way longer than detergent alone. If you want laundry to smell fresh for weeks, make sure you have Downy Unstoppable's in-wash scent boosters.
And squish, and squish. Okay, good. Keep squishing, fingers relaxed. And squish. Great. Thank you. Good job.
Squish the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5. Right. That's my go-to.
Ooh, that's my ride or die.
Just like you and me. Bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
You can always bet on Biggie. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
You need to try meditation.
No offense, but meditation is for white folks.
Say less, Black King.
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
This Friday, see the movie of that, only on Hulu.
No one is going to think that you can play dressed like that.
Look like a modern Hooper with low body fat and functional strength.
But dressed like a white girl at Whole Foods.
Where the love go?
Sinqua Walls, Jack Harlow.
The white boys got to go.
Who? Where?
White men can't jump. Rated R.
I'm here whenever you guys need me. For what? A mantra? A deep tissue massage? Come on now.
Only on Hulu this Friday.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance, plus stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy, mobility, and boost circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
I know we have Eric Spoelstra as head coach of the Miami Heat. Filipino Jackson, as some of us like to call him. But I would love to see more Asian Americans as head coaches and general managers, just to see them in the higher ranks in management, so that they can have influence on maybe having more diverse staffs, more diversity in the organization. So that would be something that I really look forward to, because I think Eric Spoelstra has done an amazing job, and I'd love to see more follow in his footsteps.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is definitely someone who continues to inspire me as a Polynesian. He looks out for our people, and he's such a great role model. And obviously, probably at this point, one of the biggest megastars we have in all of Hollywood. And he's definitely an A-list celebrity.
So ever since 6th grade, I knew I wanted to host SportsCenter at ESPN. It's a lifelong dream of mine. You can check the facts, check the receipts. It's in my middle school yearbook. The only unfortunate thing was growing up in Denver, Colorado, when I turned on ESPN, there was only one person who ever looked like me, and that guy's name is Michael Kim. So I only had one person to really look at, no matter what channel I turned to, and say, hey, that guy created a path for a guy like me. So as it relates to broadening opportunities for Asians and Pacific Islanders, all I would say is when you have the conversations about diversity and equity and inclusion, remember to include everybody. Allow there to be more faces. I love getting the messages from all over the country. Gary, I watch you. I'm a quarter Korean. I'm a half Korean. I'm half Chinese, and it's great to see an Asian guy, be on TV. This is a path that I want to pursue. I don't want to be the only guy getting those messages. So more dudes, more women who might look like me, who have Asian heritage on the TV, whether it's regional, whether it's national, whether it's local. Let's see more.
Corner guarded by Embiid. A three is good. Jason Tatum holds up 5 with the right and a fist with the left. He's got 51 points.
Mark Kessler with a call on ESPN Radio. How about Jason Tatum? 51 points, the most ever scored in a Game 7 NBA history, as all part of the Celtics winning the series versus Philadelphia by a count of 112-88. They move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where Game 1 will happen on Wednesday. They take on the Miami Heat, covered on ESPN Radio and the ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Meanwhile, the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after a video showing the star guard holding a gun began circulating on social media on Saturday night. The Grizzlies announced the suspension, which is pending a league review, in a statement on Sunday. 2 months after the NBA suspended Ja Morant over a similar incident, Memphis Grizzlies did not provide any further comment. And Jonathan Marchessault scored 3 goals for his second career postseason hat trick. That was more than enough for the Vegas Golden Knights. They beat the Edmonton Oilers 5-2 in Game 6 of their series. They advanced to the Western Conference Finals. They'll face the winner tonight's Game 7 involving the Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars. You can watch that on ESPN beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. SportsCenter is presented by Progressive Insurance. Round out your protection with life, phone, and pet health insurance.
Breaking news where the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after another Instagram live video surfaced apparently showing him with a handgun.
It was easy to defend Ja Morant the first time. You're in a bad spot when you lose the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's lost that.
There's been a lot of sighing on the national level when that story came out about Ja Morant. What has been like the reaction in Memphis on that level? It is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Wins. Freddie coming in for Max Kellerman, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. And don't forget about us on ESPNU. Let's bring in Jeff Calkins. Does a great job as a host of the Jeff Calkins Show on 92.9 ESPN in Memphis. Also a columnist for the Daily Memphian. Hit him on Twitter, Jeff_Calkins. Jeff, I laid it out there. The national reaction has been what a lot of people expected. What has been the reaction locally in Memphis with another incident involving a Ja Morant, a gun, and a social media post?
I mean, I suspect it's similar. You wake up on the Sunday morning and you see what happened, and you wonder if it's Mother's Day or Groundhog Day, because here we are again. Right? Like, really? He did what? He was with an Instagram Live again and a gun again. The level of recklessness, stupidity, it's almost impossible to get your mind around. And so I would say the feeling here, and I can't speak for every Memphian, but I think the feeling here is disappointment, frustration, anger, and then I also think some concern, because I think hopefully some concern, because it's clearly someone who is struggling, and listen, there are bigger problems in the world than having this much fame, fortune, and talent. But it's clearly someone who is struggling to adjust to the expectations and responsibilities that come with his position as one of the supposed faces of the league.
Jeff, I have more than a little concern. I mean, I have a lot of concern. And this goes back to, I think, a bigger point about, when the idea and how it was articulated about going to rehab and, look, when a person constantly shows you this is who I am, you have to believe them. And he is one of the best basketball players we have in this game. And I wonder about, like, when you go through something like this, that the way it occurred on the national scene was so prolific. It was massive. It was a massive thing. Then all of a sudden, a month later, like, to put yourself right back in the situation, like, that's a major red flag. How do you see the NBA stepping in and handling this?
Well, I was listening to you earlier when you were advocating a lengthy suspension, and I agree with the idea that you could, duck off to Florida for some therapy day camp and be all changed man was always preposterous. If anyone knows people who've struggled with